Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Our top story tonight, KREM 2 is digging deeper into more than 60 documents released in the Moscow murder case. Those include search warrant applications and some receipts from those search warrants.
Tonight, KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy spoke with a trial lawyer about what these records can tell us about the case. Shannon?
Well, we don't have all the info those documents could hold. They were released with many redactions and some pieces are still sealed. But they do paint a picture of how this investigation unfolded over time. More than 60 documents released last week give insight into how investigators and prosecutors are making a case against Bryan Kohberger.
The volume of warrants that have been issued in this case indicate to me that they're casting quite a wide net and they're trying to collect as much information as possible.
That includes some warrants dating back to November, in the days after 4 University of Idaho students were killed.
We're almost getting a retrospective view of where the investigation was back in December, and that is not necessarily where the investigation is now.
Attorney Mo Hamoudi says some of the warrants are standard, including those for the social media accounts, financial records, and phone data for the suspect, as well as Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Kaylee Gonzalez.
One thing you do as investigators when you're trying to establish what has happened to a particular victim is you want to understand who they associated with.
We know from the affidavit that investigators had identified Kohberger as a person of interest as early as November 25th. There are warrants for his phone data, Tinder account, and other social media. And it appears police were trying to track down K-bar knives and sheaths, like the sheath found at the scene, requesting surveillance and records from Walmart, Amazon, even the manufacturer.
You're trying to piece together circumstances to connect a transaction, a purchase of a knife from Walmart to a type of knife that may have been discovered at the crime scene.
But Hamoudi cautions we can't assume too much, even with all this information now out. There are still pieces under seal and much more that'll likely be held to preserve this case until trial.
What we don't have is the story put out to the judge to get all of those initial warrants, nor do we have the information they obtained from those warrants and where they are now.
Kohberger is due back in court for a preliminary hearing on June 26th. That entire week has been set aside by the courts for both sides to present evidence. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
All right, Shannon, thank you very much. Switching gears to talk weather now. Our Monday feeling more spring-like than winter-like, starting off breezy and rainy. We had a relatively beautiful weekend, though.
Hey, it was a little bit warmer and it made Monday a little more tolerable. So let's head over to our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo. Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, you guys ready for a fun fact quick?
Please.
Okay. 127 days.
Until? Or of snow?
Or since we've seen 50 degrees.
Oh, that's a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's the 4th longest stretch we've ever done here in Spokane.
Wow. Well, it felt like it.
Yeah. I guess congratulations.
Congratulations to all of us and you at home as well. So let's dive into that forecast. Right now, our temperatures are sitting pretty close to 50 degrees. How about 48 here in town? Does look like we might have squeezed out 51, but we'll get an update on that here shortly. But we definitely did hit 50. Right now we're in the upper 40s in Spokane, mid 40s in Deer Park and Coeur d'Alene, 39 up in Sandpoint, 50 in Ritzville, mid 40s in Pullman and Moscow, and 54 in Lewiston and Walla Walla still. We've expired our winter weather advisory for Sherman Pass. Looks like snow winding down there, but still going to see some more over Lookout. I think Lookout Pass, you stay in that through I'd say tomorrow morning and the morning commute. Snoqualmie and Stevens, similar story. You're talking a few more inches on top of what has already fallen today. Rain continues to fall across much of central Washington. It'll move back here into Spokane. It's one of those ones where we are not done with it yet, and we'll likely see more of those showers persist through this evening, eventually starting to wind down in the 10 o'clock hour as snow levels drop down to about 3,500 feet. Tomorrow, it's all about the sunshine. Mid 40s are going to feel quite warm, and then we start warming back up as we move through the week.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Now to some developing news tonight. Nearly 2 months after a reservoir failure in Lewiston, we now know the reservoir's alarm and control system failed.
The reservoir ruptured and it resulted in 3 million gallons of water spilling out into Lewiston. That flooding then damaged homes, streets and sidewalks. And the city was under a boil order for more than a week. According to an update from the city today, no alert systems were ever triggered even after the water started to overflow. During the past few months, insurance investigators determined the high reservoir was filling beyond its capacity.
Due to weather in the area on January 18th, it took some time to realize the source was the reservoir. According to the city inspection report, there was no known structural issues found at the reservoir since 2017, when several leaks were found and fixed. An investigation still ongoing at this time. We will continue to track and update you on this story as soon as we learn more.
Happening today, TJ Minogue Drive in Spokane is officially closed between Northwest Boulevard and Pettit Drive for road work. That closure is expected to last 5 months. During the closure, crews will install new sewer pipes and resurface that road. The construction will also mean detours. Traffic is being rerouted at the Pettit Drive interchange, so drivers are being directed to Maxwell Avenue and to the Maple Ash corridor. For more information on the detour, just go to our website, KREM.com.
In other top headlines tonight, the Spokane County Medical Examiner has identified the man shot and killed while driving on East Cleveland Avenue last Tuesday. Authorities say 39-year-old Joshua Vanderis died from a gunshot wound to the chest. He was found in a flipped-over car. His death has been ruled a homicide, but so far no arrests have been made. So anyone with information is encouraged to call Crime Check. That number is right there at the bottom of your screen. And Spokane police found a body in Highbridge Park yesterday evening. Police believe the cause of death could be criminal. Now the SPD Major Crimes Unit is investigating. This is also a developing story, and we will provide you updates as soon as we learn them. Happening tonight, the Spokane City Council members could vote to raise development fees that the city collects.
Those fees have not increased much during the last 20 years, but of course Spokane's population has, along with a need to improve critical infrastructure. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk is live in downtown Spokane tonight looking at what council members are considering. Kyle?
Well, Mayor Nadine Woodward is already speaking out against this ordinance. She warns that it would add $21,000 to the price of a new home in Spokane. Council members Jonathan Bingle and Michael Cathcart also oppose the ordinance. However, they agree that these development fees need to be increased so that the city can afford to build critical infrastructure as more people move here. But they believe the city should take a more measured approach.
These costs have not gone up since 2002. There's no denying that these costs need to go up. However, the degree to which they need to go up is something that should be subject to a much longer public engagement process. And so the interim fee that I came up with was just a simple CPI adjusted number for the fees, which from 2002 until today would be 66%. And so on a 1-inch water connection, that would take things from $1,200 to $2,000, and the sewer connection would go from $2,400 to $4,000.
Bingle's proposal would give the city at least 2 years to update the fee schedule, which members of the public would be involved in. It would also lift the moratorium on building new housing in the Latah Valley. So council members will be voting on this emergency ordinance tonight. We'll let you know what happens. Reporting live in downtown Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.